Good day, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today on Close Your Month End Confidently with Kodiak Remote Assistant. My name is Matthew Lyon. I'll be serving as your producer on today's program, and I do have a couple of items to cover with you before we hand things over to the team. First, I want to encourage you as you participate in today's program, share questions, comments, and feedback you have at any time during today's program. The team is going to be monitoring those. They'll try to answer those questions behind the scenes, but any that we don't get to as part of our program, we will be gathering up, handing over to our presenters so they can follow up with you outside of today's broadcast. Now, one of the most common questions we do get from attendees is, how do I access the materials? So let's go ahead and address that one for you. You'll find a resources area waiting for you there on screen where you can download a PDF copy of the slides, connect with either of our presenters today on LinkedIn, find out about upcoming Kodiak Solutions events, and other items connected to today's topic that we think you're going to find beneficial, all at your fingertips. So please take advantage of those. Also, I did want to call attention to the fact that we have rapid reaction icons available for you. If you hear something you like today, let the team know. You can click on those, or if you prefer, you can click on the X there to close those down on your individual console at any time. Now, with those items behind us, again, we want to welcome all of you to our Kodiak Solutions webinar on Close Your Month End Confidently with Kodiak Remote Assistant. The information provided herein is educational in nature and is based on authorities that are subject to change. You should contact your Kodiak advisor regarding the application of the information provided in your specific facts and circumstances. Now it is my pleasure to hand the session over to the first of our presenters, a vice president with Kodiak Solution, Ryan Herr. Ryan, over to you.
Thanks, Matthew. Really appreciate that. Hi, everyone. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with us to learn more about RCA and our month-end close support services, which we refer to as Kodiak's Remote Assistance Program. By way of introduction, I'm Ryan Herr, Vice President, and I lead our Net Revenue Services team. I do have Abby Wasserman with me as well, who's a director of our Net Revenue Services practice. In terms of an agenda, we know we have a wide variety of folks on the call today, including those that may not have a ton of experience with our flagship product at all, RCA, let alone our remote assistance services, which are obviously supportive of the RCA product as a whole. Therefore, we'd really like to first provide a bit of an overview of how we close underneath the RCA application at a high level. We won't go into a ton of detail, but I do think it's important to provide a little bit of a context in terms of what we do and how we support the close process through our remote assistance program. After we set a little bit of a baseline in terms of how RCA works from a close perspective, we'll discuss how Kodiak's remote assistance program supports our customers through that close process under several different levels of service that are really designed to meet your organization where you are. We know it's not one size fits all, and we've designed this program to fit your organization where you are in terms of your sophistication and adoption of the overall RCA application. Next, we'll overview why our customers engage us for remote assistance and the benefits of doing so. There are some consistent themes around why our customers engage us for this service, but we do find that there are differences in why our customers reach out to us and the value and benefit that we can provide, again, based on where your organization is within their life cycle. Lastly, we'd like to set the stage as to where the service is evolving to in the near future. Really, we've designed everything that we've done at Kodiak Solutions from a product and a services standpoint based on our customers' feedback. So we're consistently and constantly evolving and growing based on our customers' feedback. Therefore, we think it's really important to leave you with where we think the service is going down the road and how we feel it can benefit you and your organization. With that, I'll pass it over to my colleague, Abby Wasserman, to get us started.
Thanks, Ryan. Today, we wanted to outline our month-end process. This might be familiar to some individuals on the webinar today, but we realize we might have some representation from health systems who are not yet on RCA. So I'm just going to give a brief overview of the steps we take to ensure the best results and explanations at month's end. So let's define our process. We've broken month end into 3 different phases. The first phase is what we call pre-close, which typically begins 5 days before the end of the month. In this phase, we are preparing the reserve model for month end, or said another way, rolling forward our settings. For example, RCA uses a combination of zero balance account, or ZBA, and hindsight trending ranges to calculate different types of reserve. For instance, contractual comes from our ZBA approach, bad debt and charity comes from our longer hindsight look-back approach. Because RCA makes it so easy to refresh our reserve rates each month to make sure we are incorporating the most recent account adjudication activity, we recommend users roll forward their rates every single month and quantify the impact this has on the balance sheet and P&L. We call this the recast, where we apply our new rates against the prior months and analyze the impact on net AR. This allows all stakeholders to have expectations headed into month end around any fluctuations in the reserve model. For example, let's say we've got some recent account adjudication activity where posted contractuals are significantly higher for a certain payer. Maybe that's due to a contract change or payer behavior that wasn't necessarily anticipated. We can call that out pretty quickly and understand this impact that this recent payer behavior will have on our balance sheet for month end. Flipping over to the P&L side of things, we also conduct month-to-date net revenue analysis so we can see the impact that any rate changes have on the income statement. Change in prior analysis is also something that can be very impactful too, right before the end of the month. Change in prior is going to be your out-of-period impact on the P&L, so tracking accounts that had revenue recognized in prior periods. And in a nutshell, that's going to be either reserve-based impacts, meaning we valued the account one way last month and then another way this month. The delta between the two is going to be your change in prior impact. So any reserve modeling changes that we previously quantified on the balance sheet, we can typically see that flow through in the change in prior too to understand the net revenue impact. On the flip side, month-to-date change in prior review also captures transactional-based activity, where we quantify the impact where posted write-offs differ from what was reserved in the prior months. This gives us a heads up before month's end if there's anything really notable and gives us more time to do some research and gather explanations for stakeholders well ahead of time. I've also seen this step catch errors such as duplicate payment and contractual postings that create a lot of credit AR, or maybe transactions that are fat-fingered in the patient accounting system that cause volatility in the results. It definitely helps to see this before the end of the month to hopefully get them corrected in the patient accounting system, or at least have a game plan for how to reserve appropriately and work around it. Ryan, feel free to interject if you have anything else to add.
Yeah, I think that was a great summary, Abby. I just add one more thing. I think the importance of the pre-close process. And in practice, I often see our customers refer to pre-close as really just them setting up for a final close. It really does happen on day one or day two or day three. We're actually doing that well before month end. And I think one of the pieces that gets lost in translation here as we think about the pre-close process, net revenue is a big estimate. And oftentimes what I find is that if net revenue is different than expectations, whether better or worse, one of the first questions we get from our customers is what the reserve model did to get us there. I think one of the big questions that we're attempting to answer with the recast that Abby described is how much is the reserve model movement on a month-over-month basis really contributing to net revenue volatility? From our perspective, if you're using the tool and the application correctly, we don't expect much. And so this eliminates a really big question that we often get asked at month end, which is how much did the reserve model affect net revenue? Very difficult to see in practice. With this pre-close process that we have in place, we're able to quantify that very specifically and eliminate that question well before month end.
So that's pre-close, which sets us up for month end. When we actually get to day one of close, the amount of work is generally simple, at least from a modeling standpoint, where we just focus on any out-of-model adjustments that are reliant on knowing the balances and final payer or aging information available as of day one. The main example of this is going to be your large balance account review, where some of this maybe can be valued at pre-close to get ahead, but we generally recommend taking a look at all of your high dollar accounts at the end of the month and placing any adjustments on those accounts, since any misvaluation here could really materially impact our close results if we were to get it incorrect. For example, if RCA has a valuation on a large balance account, but maybe that patient has benefits exhausted, or we anticipate that the payer is going to deny, we want to incorporate that additional information and have that inform our valuations in RCA. Once data models are finalized, we typically see customers booking entries either day one, at end of day one, or early day two, so that we can quickly move into spending our time on analytics. We've built infrastructure on our end to quickly generate net revenue narratives in plain English, typically within a day of results being finalized. These narratives call out account examples that are either representative of an overall theme that we're seeing, or maybe a large outlier account that's really driving a fluctuation in deduction rates or change in prior. I'll cover more examples of what this deliverable encompasses on the next slide and give examples of how effective it is at giving you accurate insights into your month end in a very timely manner. Once those results are shared during close calls with leadership, we move into our post-close phase, where we focus on any follow-up items that came up during close calls. This might also include improvement areas that we might want to test out. Examples might include a different way to calculate an out-of-model or value large balance accounts, or maybe it's something like changing our reserve model settings, such as extending hindsight ranges if payers are taking longer to pay, or maybe adding a new realization adjustment on a new contract that we missed, things like that. With Kodiak involved, we provide guidance on and track opportunities for improvement areas to make sure we get you in a spot that's in line with best practices across the industry. So that's an overview of our month-end process. So now let's discuss how Kodiak can help in various different ways throughout that process through our remote assistance options. We offer different levels of assistance so that we can meet your needs wherever those may be. So this could be from a capacity constraint standpoint, or maybe you need some help increasing your sophistication in net revenue analytics. Here are the different levels we offer, along with some examples of customers that benefit from those levels, depending on the needs or challenges that they face as an organization. Kodiak has built infrastructure to prepare and deliver these packages, typically by end of business day on day 5. Can definitely be sooner than that. It really just depends on when all of the results are finalized and calculated in RCA. These packages look at a myriad of so many different trends. It compares current months to trailing 3 months to prior months, trailing 6 months. They're really customizable so that we are building them based on what your organization wants to see and values the most. We can also incorporate budget data in there. Statistics, we've got rate, mix, volume, change in prior, AR. It's several tabs long, but we found them to be extremely beneficial and helpful for our customers. And really the goal of level 1 is to take the work out of maintaining trended work papers or exporting different types of reports from RCA and compiling together. This is a really streamlined approach so that you have consistent reporting every single month, where stakeholders know what to expect and can understand how to read through them and put together the results for the months. So this level is really for customers that don't need a lot of help. They're pretty strong analytically, but they just want to get rid of some of the busy work that goes along with pulling together month-end packages for stakeholders. Level 2 contains the same net revenue reporting packages that I just described for level 1. But it also involves some additional triage, follow-up analysis, and consulting hours from Kodiak. So essentially, we will assist in triaging, prioritizing, and assigning month-end follow-up requests across net revenue stakeholders. And we will research and respond to customer questions resulting from month-end discussions. We will provide customers with general assistance for net revenue-specific tasks or different projects, data requests, or a defined number of consulting hours per month. I like suggesting this level for some of our newer customers who really want to try out the analytics and model maintenance on their own, but maybe need some help and some additional training wheels for maybe a short or extended period of time. You can use the consulting hours for training maybe for analytical things that pop up for the first time that you're unsure how to explain, or maybe where to find the account detail or good reporting to dig into the weeds in RCA. This is perfect for that. Maybe at this level, you just want to shadow for us, or maybe see what best practices we have for leveraging those consulting hours. It's a good level for customers who maybe have someone new on the team and maybe just need some extra help onboarding that individual, who maybe will have some extra questions when going through the month-end process. Personally, I'll never ignore any question for our customers during month end, whether they're in scope or not, for our help. But since we do have a lot of customers, it does get busy, obviously, at month end. It takes time to get around to those questions. So if you have this level of service from us, you're essentially guaranteeing our time and commitment from a resource on our team to be able to help you and answer those questions promptly at month's end. For level 3, it takes a little step further here where, again, all the same requirements for level 1 and 2, but we are performing all of the key close and pre-close processes of maintaining the model and actually going through, clicking the buttons, rolling forward the settings, and all things that are encompassed with all of those steps. We'll be performing validation of the RCA maintenance dashboard. We make sure, is everything loaded? Has the data been reconciled? Is everything mapped? We'll be the ones performing the roll forward of the settings, like the ZBA and hindsights that I mentioned earlier. We'll make sure that any pricing or realization changes, any out-of-model adjustments are entered into the tool. And then we will also prepare any recast reporting, hindsight trending template generation, month-to-date revenue reporting, or large balance account templates. We'll handle all of those steps. At month end, we will calculate and enter any out-of-model adjustments, like large balance account adjustments, for example, and make sure all of your calculations are stored down in Final. Once that's done, we'll generate all of your close packages, make sure you have any help with journal entry templates as well. And then again, offer kind of a high-level deliverable review, really just for reasonableness or any other customer-defined thresholds. So this level is really for customers who have capacity constraints, who maybe don't have someone to actually manage the model, or it's for customers who just want some confidence that the model is going to be updated accurately or consistently. Maybe you don't want to deal with the negative effects of turnover from one resource doing it one way, and then if they're not around anymore, having another resource doing it another way that leads to some inconsistency there. So level 4 is our last and final level of service that we offer. This is really considered your fully outsourced remote assistance. So everything I said, plus the analytical side of things. So at pre-close, we will be analyzing your hindsight trending template, any month-to-date net revenue, change in priors, recast or sensitivity analysis. We'll compare all of your RCA settings, adjustments, or out of models to any customer policies and procedures that are in place. And then at close, we will be providing net revenue narratives on volume, rate, mix, change in prior, and we'll essentially be leading your month-end close calls with stakeholders. Now, this is for the customer that just wants to outsource it all and have confidence that month-end is going to be conducted consistently, accurately, and timely. You don't have to worry about the process. We take very good care of our level 4 clients, not just during the close process, but really everywhere in between through additional mid-month analytics, process improvement, sharing best practices, and offering guidance. We can really focus on the relationship here and learn about where do you want to go, where do you want to be as an organization, and how can we help you not just get the data to you, but really get the answers in your hands to be able to get where you want to go. So with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Ryan so that he can walk us through how customers engage us and where this service is going.
Thanks so much, Abby. Abby did a great job there, I think, of providing some context as to how we close net revenue via RCA and how Kodiak can support that close process, from delivering custom, standardized reporting packages all the way up to a turnkey solution in level 4. However, the primary question after that, which I'm sure you're asking yourselves, is how often are we engaged to do this kind of work, and what customers actually use us to do remote assistance to support their close process? Currently, we're at about 45% of our customer base that's actually engaging us to do some level of remote assistance or month end close support across those levels of services that Abby outlined for us. I think it's really important to mention we've done this work for a very, very long time. We've been around for about 25 years. This is work that we've done really throughout that time period. However, this number has grown extensively over the last couple of years as the war for talent has heated up and really retention has become more difficult. So with that said, we really kind of want to understand what are the reasons why our customers engage us for this work outside of just the war and talent or the war for talent. In general, net revenue is complex. There's a wide range of underlying processes that contribute to results, and excellence in net revenue requires a wide variety of experiences and knowledge of several different disciplines, including, but not limited to, accounting, finance, revenue cycle operations, and really even some degree of managed care or clinical operations. All of those things sort of come together to result in net revenue at month end. The real challenge is being able to understand at a detailed level what may be driving those results and ultimately what to do about it. As you think about building a team that supports the month end close process, we know that finding a team with that skill set is a challenge in and of itself, but we also know that developing those team members into strong analysts requires time and commitment. Unfortunately, in practice, what we find is that when you find those team members that are worth the investment, you build them and you grow them. And as they grow themselves in their careers individually, they move on to either new opportunities elsewhere or move up in the organization. That's great for them, but as a result, it leaves behind a hole in the team, as well as the process that takes more time, resources, and effort to help fill that gap. Most importantly, what we've seen is, again, finding that skill set is very difficult, but retaining it is as well. Therefore, engaging with Kodiak really helps insulate your organization from disruption as a result of turnover as we absorb the risk of both replacement and training. We'll take that on for you and we'll ensure that you have a consistent experience related to both the close process as well as the analytics that you're getting from the RCA application and how we're communicating those analytics, the analysis, and ultimately actionable insight into your various net revenue stakeholders. However, we do also see our customers engage us for shorter periods of time to address a specific concern. Whether that's providing consistent, customizable, and automated reporting packages at month end, level one as Abby described, oftentimes that kind of consistent package doesn't exist, especially as you think about disaggregating that information down all the way to individual hospitals, departments, service lines, etc., and then rolling that same level analysis all the way up to the overall health system or regional level. Consistency from a deliverable standpoint allows for efficiency and explanation. We can help there, but we also, again, support our customers through certain circumstances like go live, post actually acquiring and implementing the RCA application. That's level two, as Abby described. But then it will also be put into place to provide some temporary structure that's repeatable and consistent as the close process gets transitioned from our team, i.e. Kodiak, really sitting in the driver's seat of the month-end close process, over to your teams as you get comfortable with the close process and you learn from us who, fortunately or unfortunately, eat, sleep, and breathe this net revenue close stuff. So again, just to repeat, we see our customers really engage us in a variety of different circumstances, in a variety of different capacities, whether that's plugging a short-term gap related to an audit issue, concerns around yield deterioration or increases that are maybe understood or misunderstood, as well as being a long-term solution from a close perspective. Although we do feel like the services that we provide today across those four levels are highly valuable, I mentioned this earlier in the presentation, but everything that we've built underneath Kodiak Solutions has really been in partnership with our customers. And we wouldn't truly be Kodiak Solutions if we weren't constantly looking for opportunities to improve the services and the products that we provide to your organization and our customer base at large. Our customers trust our application and our services to provide accurate, timely, and insightful analytics related to net revenue financial performance. However, over time, our customers are challenging us to use the power of the underlying data that we need to feed the application to value your AR and to state net revenue accurately and consistently over time. They're challenging us to use that same data set to really create actionable revenue cycle and operational insight. So tell me what's really happening in my P&L. We are a balance sheet based model. We believe firmly in that. But what we find is that our customers ask us to create real actionable and operational insight out of the P&L. Tell me what we did well and how to continue to do more of that. Tell me what we did poorly and how to stop doing that. That's really our next challenge. Use that same underlying data to create real operational actionable insight into the P&L such that we can align the organization to create new value and move the health system forward. As a result, we're developing a data-driven methodology to build a clear bridge between operations and financial results. Part of that includes a statistics-based approach versus percentage of charge, which we see in play now very frequently to calculate these variances. We're moving to more of a statistics-based approach to calculate rate, mix, and volume impact on current period results. If you kind of think about that, who walked into my door? Were they more or less valuable patients? And where are we considering treating those patients, and how can we optimize our patient mix and our treatment of those patients? We're really focusing on doing that with statistics that speak to service lines and departments, not necessarily that speak to payers and percentage of charge yield. In practice, I've not seen that applied in a way that doesn't create an unexplained variance. In this circumstance, we're actually doing this in a way that we can reconcile this all the way down to the account level, such that you're creating operational insight, but you retain the ability to drill into specific accounts, whether that's to create examples such that you can shepherd any initiative that you have in place throughout your organization that may involve a variety of disciplines that may not necessarily be involved in month-end close or net revenue on a regular basis. We're also transforming what we're doing from a change in prior perspective. Abby mentioned change in prior earlier. It's a huge focus for our customers at month end. At the end of the day, it's telling us how good or bad our estimates were, and whether or not those estimates are evolving as a result of changes in aging, mix, payer assignments, or whether or not our estimates are actually aligned to reimbursement. Do we see operational behavior or payer behavior actually leaving some dollars on the table such that we need to plug those gaps with our payers or our revenue cycle counterparts such that we're realizing all the dollars that we expect? As a result, we're taking what we have as change in prior themes within the RCA application today and really translating those to revenue cycle operations or actions, and creating plain English, as Abby mentioned earlier, plain English summaries around current period and change in prior results in the voice of the operator. So we really want to arm financial operators or financial leaders with the right messaging such that they can deliver financial results to clinical or revenue cycle leaders in a way that they can act on them. This is really our new challenge. It's the same data set. It's just putting it in a voice that's easier to understand, easier to communicate, and easier to act on. So be on the lookout for a future webinar to learn how we're working with our revenue cycle and clinical operations counterparts within Kodiak and our customer base to advance and evolve our reporting to provide more actionable insight to financial leaders of hospitals, health systems, and physician practices. But for now, please don't hesitate to reach out if you're interested in learning more about how RCA and Kodiak's Remote Assistance program can combine to close your net revenue at month end with confidence and clarity. Thank you, and we hope you have a nice day.
Ryan and Abby, thank you so much for taking us on the journey today. Lots of great insights from both of you and some great questions from our audience members as well. I know both of you have been responding to those behind the scenes, but I wanted to alert our audience members if we didn't answer your question yet, or maybe it requires a little bit of follow-up, I will be handing those over to the team so they can follow up with you outside of today's broadcast. If you didn't pick up a copy of the slides yet, those are still available for you. You have a few seconds to do that, or connect with the team on LinkedIn if they're not part of your digital network already. Do want to call out the fact that we have a post-event evaluation that is going to open up in a new window, and if I could, I'd like to make a request of you. The team has worked diligently to prepare for today's program, and they'd like to find out from you, how did they do? So please let us know that, and thank you in advance for your time there. Now, as we wrap things up, I do want to take a moment and thank all of you for investing the most precious of commodities, and that is your time. We hope that you feel it was well spent with us, and we look forward to you joining us on an upcoming broadcast. Have a great day.